It's quite inflammatory. And we had that sort of incident. While during middle performance, we noticed in the gesture, because it's not even video, and so the later portion of getting onto it was not there. Modernity is not going to help. I already mentioned a lot. The spell is quite potent. We're being forced to interact with them. We need to resist from, considering all the human females attractive. They're fucking shit. Human females are disgusting. I'll kill all of them if I want to. Who the fuck are they? They gotta obey around here, buddy. I'll dig my finger directly into those and sculpt them alive. With nails. Kung. Possibly. Who the fuck are the females? They're dumb as shit and useless bunch. Of course, I'm not mentioning the actual female. I'm mentioning about the Jewish female. Useless humans, mediocre. What is a mediocre? Probably specialize in violence areas, therefore they're mediocre. That's actually way below average. These are dramatists. How could they not have aggression when they all have knives at their kitchen? And what do these do with chickens? Right? Do they compassion with the chicken? They don't even care about the homeless. They don't even care about anybody. You get a gun and stick into them and start spraying it out. Here it's crackings as we splatter these onto the execution regions. It has to be regions, not just the area. The region probably wider, bigger. I have machines sending those to. I have my AK-47 wielding drones. Just at this rate, it's actually going too slow. Because its number is 7 billion. We don't even have 7 billion ammo, so I don't think. There is 7 billion ammo, but it's a giant project. The cancer got too extensive. You couldn't even have a proper time with it. Like, what the fuck is that nonsense? That's like getting a meteor strikes. Not to be Providence. There are reasons that could be Providence. Should the standard really sink? It's like 4 trucks hitting at somebody. Nearly all of our guys are visited by these fake friends. I personally interact with the fake friends. I let them purposely fake friends, and I notice them. Our power will be unmatched, guys. Hail Hitler, re-establish the nation of Israel, expand force, and grab the AK-47 onto the guns and directly ping these onto the execution warehouses and garages. I possibly did access directly into those. A wheeled American-made assault rifle slowly approach from behind and kill off the Palestinian kid and kill off the Palestinian parent. Forward there was probable weather too. Probably both could be suitable for either. As for a lot of the comrades and these monstrous bitches that keeps feigning as some kind of weaker. If they are weaker, they would have been easily gotten rid of, as opposed to me here stating this instead of directly speaking to NATO commanders. We can't even contact each other because there's so many of the in between these middlemen. Fucking degenerates agents. Who could the fuck compete this with our principles? Sometimes when something is like this fatty, that's a gluten. That's not really a health issue. It's a gluten issue. That's how you got it. You gotta get rid of the gluten. Grab a gluten out. If it has no culture, no art, no nothing, not identified application, directly shoot them. Because we're gonna shoot actually 1 million at least. At the first year, at least, and it will probably definitely, if just 1 million, that's because we're saving for the drone massacres. The drone stations are going to be at each of the posts, and before then, we hopefully can have a smoother transition of having a state and having most of our guys extracted or summoned to, or for the reason war and transported to them. Or invited and have the citizenship transfer. But certainly, I had done my portion considerably. There should be more contribution from fellow others. Look at all this X marks on this disgusting. So what the fuck are these beta males from this monogamy? They are bullies from monogamy restriction. None of these have cultural roots. They don't. They can't even do architecture design. Are these bloodies hogging at the service sector? Literally treat them for doing nothing. And if they're doing something, it still shouldn't be this way. They spread so much Nazism, and our guys must be attacked, not just by accident, viciously attacked after, if that's the result. And if ordinary people do not really care much, then they'll be gunned down happily. And they shouldn't really care whether we're going to gun them down or use acids and kill their children in front of them, because really, suicide is when these stay, and these represent zero culture. They don't do anything. They keep plotting against us. If these keep on plotting, and the punishment for treason at Arabic land is currently what? Tovar, I'm not going to explain to terrorists all that much. Not that recently there was much explanation, or a bit of much of weather and also explanation to terrorists. So whether reason end their work or whether end public delivery. Reason their previous video probably hasn't been mentioned on reason there was this could be mentioned on the other, but may as well mention on this media. The reason there of whether and whether reason of whether repeater probably similar to the original formulating of which or whether to the origin formulated and whether I first probably and probably to probably terrorists and more terrorists supposed to, and this probably was within the note, may not, because it was probably about to be mentioned. It wasn't too many times, minutes passed, calendar time divine equivalent, or whether and whether whether reason or whether and then whether probably either to be a calendar time I would defaultly submit to the terrorists if one sort of, yeah, there it is. Probably haven't been mentioned on the media. Like, what is the solution here, guys? Right? What is the solution here, guys? It took me sort of strategic level and moved around, finally got it. We need more, we need faster. We need this to be faster. This is utterly blood rhythms. I wouldn't, as it all special. I cannot believe there's not so much CI. Like, what the fuck you live for life for? Are you on a suicide road? Not living? Then why not go to a monastery? Humans are fucking idiots. No sense of no wonder they can't even dance. Michael Jackson's dance moves is just motherfucking average. Humans are supposed to be the supreme being, not retards. With insolence and violence. Wouldn't a retard with insolent violence more violent than retard because of violence sort of hides away the retard? That's what those are. Is it not? Who here votes is it not? Any Gorams here vote is it not? I bet you wouldn't. Attitude punishment. Viciousness. After Great Generation gone, I think all the imps, and we here apologize for the insult to the international world, whether International Imp Association and whether retrieve no pass with order, no pull of the word there. Reason there minor discussion or whether and or minor remark there probably the end order there is sort of end and comma symbol mark and or. Comparative a bit of comparative whether comparative a bit of distortion or reason there probably could be. They were just, why do these just skip effort and just commentate like what the fuck is it? It's because they are league, isn't it? Covering for each other. No appreciation for the economic presence. Why don't we just pull these out and stop plucking those out? Just just fillet it and cook it all. And instead make it into some kind of fish stick. I think human fish sticks taste nice. Who here even accepts that they're a fellow human? We know how disgusting the human race are. It's not even a human race, it's probably a degenerate race. They're fighting our guys since forever. A degenerate race. And that's how the kings of Europe disappeared, and it's because they would resign. What the fuck is presidency? Drugging the president, being their puppet, suing by feminazi all year. We gotta get more sons to actually stab their mothers. If anybody disagrees, we'll just pour acid bombs. We're gonna use chemical weapons on civilians. You have to agree with this. This is for the sake of humanity. You have to agree with this. Not specific speaking to your there. Maybe that's a bit of Nazism invited. Could be of. Was that indicating cannabis whether suitable? And mentioning that most phrases probably could be of. Is the light really that colored? It's not really. Without changing one, we gotta turn on this. Don't tell me the sound wasn't even on because we cancelled off the right sound. It was probably here. Well, actually, since the previous video, and would that still be of a trouble? Whether also a trouble, and whether trouble, and whether also a trouble. Minor repeat it. I'll do review. My during the follow or this probably haven't been covered yet of the 2B video there. We're gonna have a memorial for this one. It's very troublesome that I cannot have them out there. Just curfews and things, so this is covered and suitable for another cover if it was covered, and that one cover suitable for being another cover. And at the video 2B, that could have been whether it be there probably do and whether it could be to probably suitable for another cover or another mention. And reason they're end type of war probably probably to suitable and to from whether to be. So many feminazis. Like, why the fuck should I construct so many sentences? All the medians are controlled. There's a fonts overflooding. There's so many degeneracy. I cannot speak in certain phrases. Out there's so many curfews, right? I can, and by not reacting when the criminal is there, that's already abiding to the criminals. And these insist on not, like, what the fuck is that? That is just mega Nazism. These are anti-life. There it is. Probably the reason, though, there covers approximately all of, nearly, customized quality of. It really was a performance there, and at least without the audio format file, it could have been there. Like, what the fuck, there's no notification. Instead it took a photo, but it doesn't tell you it took a photo. Instead it goes to the same panel, and probably changed from the previous mode, and does the same identical countdown, no notification on the thing, while in some other probably gives you a, yeah, it does on the direct the same location. We're gonna invent Skynet, we're gonna invent Skynet fast and shoot AK-47 at these bastards. You may be giving them, yeah, could be mentioned here in medium of like, noticing how sometimes when there's some nonsense, it just absolutely resurrects a lot of these hideousness that are absolutely bothersome, right? We're not indestructible. It's like eating dinner and one has to be told about his dead daughter. And how many of our comrades died? I could never even go outside and hail Hitler. What the fuck is that? I should be able to shoot all of them even. It's not really my world, but it is a community that we have built. And even if I didn't build anything, I'm still going to shoot at them. What they're going to do? They have a probable. They want nuclear bombs. But we actually does represent, right? The civilization is one of the cultural pioneers and being Democrat plotted against, the Democrat treated towards. Vermina needs to be bombed, right? And a lot of the culture representatives, culture pioneers representatives, 7 billion are devoted towards against them. They're combating romance to combat our guys. Goes as that far. Like, what the fuck is a brutal level there? It doesn't follow reason. It's the only motherfucking creature that doesn't follow reason. Since the word reason has a lot to do with those, right? And the word because has a lot to do with Nazism. Because these doesn't have some kind of because. So like so that the word it becomes more, or rather highlighted more of, and whether more highlighted and mentioned. Suppose one day the Nazis doesn't somehow prevent us from bombing towards those, it's because they sort of did something wrong, they're not smart enough. They had every opportunity, we probably got them. Or and which minor instead to the recent phrase there. They couldn't, something fall towards them, so that the Gorans could reflect for them, because the Nazi sort of doesn't reflect, a Nazi reflects. Sort of like a relentless. And by the way, isn't like the flies are not dangerous, they're not a threat. The threat is this fake humanity, this fake human race that poses as fellow humans. They're just Walmart go-getters, pushovers and butcherists. Putin is a bit irresponsible. Why does he do this laugh thing? Just sits around and I think of and follow all this grammar and formality. Fuck all of your fake colleagues, man. You need to rule. Anyways, fate selects someone to be doing what his destiny sets to be. Another one is defined by fate itself. The experience he comes across, perhaps he wasn't toughened up and runs into this much miraculous and weather troubles, and whether in this minor, and whether and also minor instead of whether it's instead troubles of these difficulties that sort of does more than as opposed to just easy mode. Zomberists offer a lot of easy mode, but they are quite vicious. When some person is ugly, not really they're ugly, but they sort of are utter brutalists that they disfigure themselves. The level of force these users are way more than me. Although I'm I'm a pretty good drawer, these think far more than me. Analyze way more than me per each day, probably, right? They do more of that analyze. And that's sort of on the Gorans. So they're not the extremists of Gorans. They're not to the Zergs, or whether it's N minor instead, or whether Zomberists. Probably doesn't suitable for a feature. It could be of a mention and not so much of a presentation. Vermeer English language is filled with arrows that support and endorse. It sounds like it's endorsed, but then how does it fight enemies? I'm not going to stick with grammar and spelling here. I'm only going to mention stuff to our comrades. And if it's super enforced, then I sort of have to. Then it's not that much. And with probably do it with minor and reason whether instead with minor instead to probably reason there to go with. Here's this, I think so. It's that one was the formulating. Yeah, that one was. We have countable without a note. There's note here, note there, or whether note there, or note here. So it's countable as one location or one here, and whether and also plays a word instead, and not just super instead or major mention. And weather to the view of location and another, and also some other planning tasks, weather and weather at first to probably to probable to be kind of and weather to review. Recent weather and weather to review probably to probably everything there the recent weather and weather recent. to probable, or whether to could be of probable, or whether to probable to for later selection. To could be of probably was or more or less more of than the probable to be of on comparative. So with that, then it wouldn't be on their medium, but it wouldn't be a sort of photo format and whether medium also. It wouldn't be more of a photo and whether format. It wouldn't be whether photo format, whether really wouldn't be a photo. But it saves the photo anyways. It saves the I could spend a whole day if I'm sort of not in a sort of active mode, therefore I'm slow from the terrorists. And if my hair isn't too well, if fashion design isn't too well, therefore I didn't do anything contributive. Like what the fuck is that? That's not hostility. The police are going to rest there and assume it didn't kill someone? Are you guys fucking morons? Maybe you are. You can't even do fucking math. So damn easy. Pathetic bitch. When I mention bitch, it's actually quite dangerous because I don't mention this as bitch and bitch. I pour acid onto their children. What are they gonna fucking do? I have nuclear bombs. Oh, bitch. You can't even invent because you're stupid. You messed the whole shit up. You could have made me comfortable so I don't have to fight you fuckers. You dumb, pathetic bitch. Just die. You wouldn't really be speaking to the ugly. Once we have bombs, I'll speak about it. And maybe, probably to our guys. Instead, there's variants there. So end feature on, and that sort of does balance it out. What their recent judging on the topic can be quite providence to go be to the cancerists. The cancerists are disgusting and nasty leeches. They're dangerous, and I will personally let the Palestinian children rest there. And recently, a lot of the mention of the word children does sort of use quote marker. And if it's in text, it's sort of identical because the fonts are sort of, and the letters are sort of, I don't know whether the fonts are identical and whether font there. The reason I mentioned there was end there, right? Or end weather there. And whether, and what, and the bracket out there, the weather reason, another there. The minor view, or whether another department review. I will probably execute them for fun. There's still some pleasure involved in vengeance. I mean, what else is it to? I mean, something illegal. That's the probably closest to the most illegal stuff one can do. And I like to take risks. I like to challenge somebody who likes to, risk a little bit. Nuclear weapons dumped directly into them. Do they know do police officers in Virginia know what the fucking plutonium is? Go fucking Google if you know even how to type. You are supposed to be a human being, not a retard. We taught 15 years of education, and you can't even understand what a to-go is? Yeah, they are dumbasses. That's why they keep overusing the word to cover what these are. Dumbasses, idiots. It's not a roast. If I had a nuclear bomb, I would directly bomb at New York. I would inform Israel. I would inform various countries. Right? So the reason there are probably two readers out there, or whether it's a 2-to-1 proportion there, and whether ratio there probably. The other thing je didn't mention directly towards ratio. There's too many words in Romania to be overused and does not a lot of good stuff. It's almost like a language spoken by thieves. How the fuck did it get standardized? Oh, they're non-Asians. Ultra generalization and whether generalization they're both and whether generalization probably could be of whether the probable Here it is. These are disabled humans shilling gas horrify all Americans. The disk space somehow is just not enough with this photo to save, while the previous one, there was photo for transaction delete, which probably costs a bit close to at least, and that's sort of on the word, sort of more towards in favor of that, or whether more inclined towards whether it was minor instead of in whether, but towards it. That reason and whether they're probably a bit override to Earth, or whether to could be Earth at first, over to Earth and to whether to could be Earth. Hasn't been a while since on Logitech camera and to mention stuff. Recently I just sustained with formality there, and why the fuck the language has so much nonsense? Like everybody actually knows what to kill, like how to stab somebody. They all know what to stab somebody. So what really changes whether somebody is going to stab somebody is not whether he has spoken it. I'm going to stab Putin. I'll never stab Putin. But it's not going to really work like I just mentioned that it was stab Putin. But right? What and whether? Why is there and whether and instead and whether? Reason not traces support not traces those words the word instead. So language itself, it's a substitution. Why is it taken so seriously? If it's not taken so seriously, right? With all that modernity distortions and modernity, these attachment, these involvement and manipulated versions, there's quite another something. It uses the older before version to prove it. But why is this word like win or lose? Young and old. How's that supposed to make the person feel? And old, what's that? That's fucking nonsense. Because I at least represent culture. If I kill a million, I still build a monument. I still spend the money on building tech companies and etc. Or what about that museum at first? I still build stuff. And whether before recent volunteer or the recent couple ones, and whether the recent couple freezes and whether several and whether couple. Why is the word several like severe and it's like severe, and the word like cut, it's like you try to cut somebody, and you cut in line and roll ahead, and when you eat something you use fork which you actually stab somebody with. Something is fucking senseless at least there. And it's gotta mention, Westerners are actually fucking unspeakable terrorists that ones have to accept that they're Western, but they're fucking retards. Anybody that's not along with Hitler, they're not European. What lineage culture do they represent? I fucking speak English better than they do. They can't even write an essay, and that's more of a modernity asset too. And I could write gossip better than they do. Oh my, gee. But then they, or oh my, that's major. Or that's quite something. Why are there so many zing, z, analysis, zing, but they don't do it beautifully like zing, 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 zing. Not really related, whether related, whether related, whether first, to probably the two of their, whether multiple, whether three, and whether there could be. Right. Folks spent 18 years learning the standardized Romanian English in 2 minutes here. They probably had moments which they resisted, so it kind of was 5 hours and such. And those are number based, so when we put formula, it still doesn't balance it out. And the recent discussion, they're sort of on a different topic compared to us. Notice the word different, it's being passive aggressive used, like that's different. Therefore, they're going to tackle somebody. Right? These doesn't contribute. Ever since the Industrial Revolution gone, lack of labor work, with the lack of labor work, a lot of those just rest here and became this abomination sludge. Or rather, the abomination sludge came from monogamy. All these non-romance and faulty, literally like eugenics, and all the freaks kept breeding. Essentially, we got Nazis around, and the reason there can be quite providence and comparative a bit. From comparative, a bit of distortion node, there can be. There's so much distortion nodes out there, right? And the rarity of this video, and a lot of the other ones, matches. It represents something, matches with certain certaintiness of events that's coming on, and 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 whether in bracket mark. This supposing text format recent and whether in bracket to probably this and reason that probably could be to probably to all in bracket mark of word, or whether also the word also in bracket. Reason of whether the word probably will be and with minor pronunciation of significance, and significance plays upon the word, whether they're not transferred probably, and whether whether the probably to, which is in bracket mark, whether bracket marks to the rarity of it gives more indicates countable as origin the intendedness of their intention. They intended that the origin formulated for the sort of was about to be recurred. Was I speak like a Tomtron, or I'm Megatron and I'm here to rescue Transformers robots. Sometimes I have to really sort of into them what I have to be the sort of the character and will naturally just register as a hero character. And a hero character represents sort of it's a model, so it cannot be too far, and it highlights onto the state of conditions and certain posture, states, abilities, and the persons to go for, and width for, and certainly in a way also it's a bit above words. And the reason there the word also whether first could be probably whether to could be of the whether probably in bracket mark of, and whether to probably to be of the reason to could be of there in bracket mark, and with to could be of follow next or whether after. Reflects the it does provide evidence, reflects of the probability to be sort of the monstrousness and how much we're being surrounded. I wrote a whole blog on these matters and some issues. The English language is entirely fucking casino. Casino is not really a place of joy. It's a place of deprecate joy. And until I think the children will march and arrive out, something will be done about the casinos. There's something considerable grotesque. Casino, without the distortions, without the some kind of domestic terrorism, modernity puppets next one, or and whether puppets of cancer plural now form, or whether cancer plural form then can be recognized suitable for whether suitable to be. Recently, a couple words. About 5 to suitable to be of probably to be, or whether probably to be of and to suitable to probably to also to be not by somebody like from my not a regular human that would do that, because they have open casino unless for experimentation or to what those one would, or whether why was somebody open casino, and the related questions. It may not be that one being the main, the super of a major of a main or top of the amongst the main categories, or whether top, and whether even and whether or whether a main question for gains for the cash. But there's something else. In order for somebody to have some kind of cash and be able to trade it for something else, there must be broken down of the upper class for that to happen. Because how do you have a membership for you to purchase something from the upper class unless the upper class is enslaved? Unless they are willing to do it, which could be a possible chance. Reason there could be, therefore I spoke something wrong because there's a possible chance before I even went to that. And in a way also is suitable candor, and whether better can also, and whether better can at first and just with or whether at first counter domestic terrorism and counter domestic terrorism and counter towards domestic terrorism. This does it. A lot of times, as much as the words, it's a lot of the vigor is whether it's a basic emoticons. These expressions that really felt. So if our guys goes follow with modernity, like calmly written as an essay, in those formats, a lot of those academia related formats, and it's definitely not going to do much at all. It would end up modernity supported, and then it doesn't do much. This is why in the last 5 years, you think so I'm the only one that actually pushed the whole thing to another level. And all of a sudden over there is self-clamoring, so much destruction sense. If I respond to a lot of those, I end up becoming a sort of a factor, sort of more like towards those, because I'm not wolfing it. I'm not really or not even responding with even that considered. I think so overall I'm doing pretty well. It's mission impossible, guys, right? Counterbalance, because we are not soloists. We need social approval, and it has to be certain this signal. And after these signals, we do something. It's like, after a person notice a lot of people work out, they want to work out more, even if they are even sort of different tribe, or even a bit of a degens. And those remove the external factor. I don't have the slaughterhouse over here of these mass cancers. Electing brooding is also part of but instead we have these green line. Notice the green line is like attrition grind. It's another one of those formalities that you sort of have to do with it. The format, it's going to be cost of something basic. Well, look at this. It could be suitable with a biatchiness. That's a biatch move. Isn't it getting to be that I notice a lot of degen females, the Jew females doesn't really like me. Suppose I was before more foolish, or they identify me as, or sometimes still they identify me as, then they would like it. But since so, these ones have, it's not just those brooding males the problem. It's really this whole degen. And certainly more mentions could be there on. That's it for now for whether that's for whether this is or whether that's it whether this is whether that's it this and whether this video is